Hey, Coach, I know that for like a lot of the coaches around the area, and basketball is no different, you guys are in a little bit of a different mode right now. Can you kind of give us an update of where you stand with Northeastern basketball? And again, without the month of June to work with as far as your own program, where do you guys sit right now?
Well, for us, I think stability is a big thing with our program. We kind of stick to, and we'll modify a little bit throughout the years, but really we're right where we would be when our season ends. We do player evaluations, things like that, but we don't. We want our kids to play baseball, golf, track, and so the biggest probably thing for us is we're not able to go to the county tourney. I'm not able to go watch our baseball team, play Hagerstown or Centerville and the rivals and then the golf tournaments and then, the Tiger meets and the track meets and stuff. So, I feel bad for the seniors. We've got some really good athletes in our area that's not getting to play and finish out their careers probably the way they want to. So, but as far as our basketball program, we're probably actually ahead of schedule. I was listening to some of the others because our kids are either playing AAU or they're playing a spring sport. So we really we don't bring our kids in and basically overload them with different things. They know what they got to get better at. And probably with basketball season being one of the longest seasons of the year, I mean, it's 6 months if you start even October 1st. Yeah. And then you make it in, make a run in the state tournament, they're probably tired of hearing me and the other coaches. And so, we didn't get to have our banquet yet. At some point we will. We only had one senior. So, that would be the last time that I would see him would be the banquet. We stay in touch with information, but, really for us, we've started a program with the kids, but, that probably made us ahead of schedule because I would not see the kids until the first Monday morning of June. We would practice, and then we'd go play in the summer league that night, and then our June would start. And so that's where it's going to be a little bit different for our kids.
You then, and I don't know what the other basketball programs are doing, but it appears at least with you being kind of normal with this, nothing is going to hurt your program too much. But let me ask you, if you look ahead a little bit, the AAU programs, things like that, how is that going to go down right now? And I know you have a lot of your kids involved in that.
Yeah, we got several that are playing AAU, and I heard from Jared Balf, who's the head of Speech Gym Rats, and he's got several of my kids, Raiden Faust, Colton Van Lanningham, Carter Lumpkin, those kids, they actually start practice May 30th. Okay. So, they're following their rules as far as how the state goes, but I'm sure that they'll have the proper spacing and different things, probably more individual workouts, but they start May 30th, 31st, and then they actually play games in June with limited, spectators. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be certain things, but they start, I think June 14th or 15th, and then they'll play, I imagine, their normal AAU schedule through the summer, which July can make it a little bit, difficult. And he told me, he wants the high school sports to come first, but I also don't want to take away from their chances, to be seen if the NCAA allows the coaches to come out to those events and NAIA programs. I want our kids to be able to be seen. So, that's kind of where those kids are AAU. Now, I spoke with Colton's dad, Buddy, and he said, this really is the first time since he was in second grade that he's probably had 2 months off in the spring. So, I think mentally for some of these kids, growth-wise, I got to see them all on a Zoom call a couple of weeks ago, and it was great just seeing their faces, but it's kind of neat for us because with me not being in the building, being a lay coach, it works out really good because I get to see how much these kids grow in 2.5 months, when I see them in June. And, we talk a lot, but, when we run into them, like I said, I miss seeing them at their other sports. We want them playing other sports. They're good athletes.
Hey, you said, which is, if you don't mind, when you talk about the AU program, but as you said too, they've got to be in shape and at least somewhat ready to go by May 15th and the end of May. You showed me kind of an app that you have there that you guys have a workout program. Tell us how that works and how you stay in contact with the players.
Well, it's, my neighbor is Coach Hester at IU East, and, we became pretty good friends, and he actually come to me with it. and said that he could get, maybe us a special pricing and work out a deal. So he actually has his kids on it as well. And, there's a daily program on there every day. It's sport specific. It's position specific. So like, I have two brothers, Carter Lumpkin, Peyton Lumpkin. Peyton's putting his in as a center forward, and Carter's workouts are for guards. So even though they can do them together, they're different workouts. And, they're 45 minutes to an hour. There's some running, different things that are involved in it. And then there's also 50 videos that run between 3.5 minutes to 50 minutes, and they're about leadership, nutrition, training, how to develop, become a better self. And I would say last year that was probably, we got beat by the number one team in the state in the sectional final in about 4 possessions that we just didn't, we just didn't handle it well enough in those last 4 possessions. That kind of turned the ball game around about the 4-minute mark in the fourth quarter. We're up 2, and then we were down 4, and then we didn't execute very well. And I think a lot of that has to do with maturity. We started 3 sophomores and 2 juniors. So we're really hoping that the mental part of this program, as well as the physical part, will be really good for these kids. Coach Mauer's on my staff, won the state golf title at Richmond, and played pro golf. He is a huge believer. 2 years ago when he joined our program, one of the things that he brought in as well is the mental aspect of the game. Before we practice every day, the kids go in and, they don't talk, they put their heads down. There's certain things that they focus on. And so, just to add some of this and seeing the videos, it's been great. It's called Interpro Sports. The apps, the trainers on there that, they work with professional athletes. They're big in baseball. They do a lot of Major League Baseball or minor league kids that are trying to get to that point. But no, Coach Hester found it. He gets the credit for it, and we just kind of stole it and started using it. So, we had a Zoom meeting on it, and then I just kind of reach out to each kid after I can see I've got a coach's app, and I shouldn't say this because now they know, but I can see how long they've been on the app. I can see what they've done. I can see what time they've done it. So, if it takes one kid 50 minutes and he did it at 2:30 in the afternoon, he did it.
Yeah.
If another kid's on it at 1:30 in the morning and it took him 13 minutes, he's playing Fortnite and he's clicking on the app. You see what I'm saying? So, where you're at. We got 18 kids, that's involved with it. If I got 8, 9, if we get 50% that really buy in and get something out of it, it was worth it.
I kind of think about what this has done to just athletics in general, and there's still some talk that maybe, just maybe, you probably heard me talk to some of the football coaches that they're a little bit concerned whether football's even going to happen. I mean, you talk about what's going on in college football and the NFL. They talk about moving things back in the state of Illinois, switching seasons and all that. Do you have a concern as a basketball coach that your season may not get started on time, or if this thing flares up again sometime in the fall, what will happen there? Have you looked that far ahead?
Well, one of the things that, we talk about all the time is adversity. I think the best football teams, the best basketball teams, they know how to handle adversity and handle it the right way with character. And, whatever happens, I heard several of them talk about, one, we want to make sure everybody's healthy. Yeah. And I think, my opinion on it, with Georgia opening up, we're starting to open up. Last week, I'm a big race fan, so I know the dirt late models started running last week. NASCAR is going to start picking up. Golf is playing. Major League Baseball is talking about getting out. If all these sports start and we don't have any setbacks, where these athletes are getting sick or causing, and Georgia's, the numbers are going to go up because they test more. And I'm not, I don't want to get into all that, but, I think, we'll know more, but it's an unknown. I mean, us not doing anything now is an unknown. I mean, I never dreamed that, we've got several friends of ours that, put a lot of time into baseball, and their kids are seniors, and, they don't even get to play their senior year, and they've been traveling, and there's a lot of money spent on baseball, throughout the years. And, just like the Earlham kids, I ran into, Christian and asked him what he was going to do. And, cause he could come back play, but he's going for an internship, and, he's got, him well, he's got bigger and brighter things he's moving on to, but, it could be worse, I guess. But, I hope we have it. I hope football gets to have football and tennis gets to have tennis. And, it is an unknown. So, no, I haven't put any thought into where we'll start, when we'll start. Right now you try to keep normal.
If I may ask you, you mentioned AAU's going to open up and such. Wouldn't it be maybe advantageous if the IHSA said, you know what, let's get June back in here. We're still 3 weeks away from that still, and maybe think about doing something. Even if you did it slowly, you could bring players in 2, 3 at a time and do workouts and things like that, since AAU's doing it as well.
Well, you wonder, but, the IHSA, as of course I'm sitting here, in my, office at Farm Bureau Insurance, they've got a big liability issues for what they do as well. So, they've got to protect everybody. And, I'm sure they're doing their due diligence to make sure that, they don't put kids at harm's way. And, there's been talk that, we have 6 goals in our main gym. Can you bring 6 kids in? The colleges would be, they would be able to work with an athlete, for 25 minutes or 45 minutes. They break their time down when they're on time restrictions. Bring in our bigs. They each have their own ball, own goal. You bring your bigs in, you work individual workouts for 30 minutes, send them home, and then the guards come in. Those kind of things. We've kind of prepped for some of that in case it does work out that way. Just having one person at a goal, and we may do some of that, at 6, 7 in the morning, starting in July anyway, and not bring everybody in together right away. Because really for us, July's football season. I'm a big high school sports fan. I'm a big, I'm a big Coach Oler fan, and we talk a lot, and I want him to be able to have the absolute best season he can have, and he's going to have a young group. He graduated 15, 16, 17 seniors, and, he's going to need July if he can get it. And so the last thing I want to do is interrupt his normal, activity. We'll do some things, and he'll allow us to work it out, with him. But, I want him, and then, tennis as well, and cross country. We've got, Chase Cates and, Grant Luby, and we've got some really good runners that play basketball. So, you're talking about getting in shape. I don't know, this might be the best cross-country basketball team I've had in a long time. So I'm not too worried about them. I know they're running.
Well, that's the nice thing about you staying in contact with them the way that you do, is because now when you talk about the mental side of it, but it's also they have to do this on their own now. And you're going to find out a little bit about some of the work ethic, things like that, when it's hard to work out by yourself. When you're with other people and you get the motivation and energy from them, that's great. But when you're by yourself, it's a little bit tougher. Yeah,
I've even heard, some of the kids' goals weren't as good as, because they start dunking on them, different things. And, so I don't know, I know parents are trying to get out and get goals at their houses. And, we want them to try to get up 500 shots a day, and, you do that over a period of time. That's a lot of shots. And you can get 500 up fairly quick, if you do it the right way. But, are you out there trying to lower your goal and dunk and goof around, or are you getting the actual game-like shots, game speed up?
Yeah. I'd be dunking, Coach. I mean,
I'd have to lower it to about 8 foot. I'd be doing the same thing.
Hey, before I let you go today, when you look ahead, you do have a great group of kids coming back. There's going to be some high expectations next year. Boy, I tell you what, I hope everybody gets a chance to play, because there's no doubt about it. There's going to be a target on your team's back for next season, what you have coming in returning from your basketball program. Well,
we've got, we're doing the numbers now. Like, this is normal for us. We would be at the Nike clinic right now in Vegas, or just getting back, usually the first, second week in May. And as coaches, and so we missed that. But that's where we put together, we're going to change a little bit our defensive scheme a little bit on different things. We don't like finishing second. We lost to Winchester, 1 game conference at third place. We got them at our place next year. We're going to handle, the 6'9" kid is still there. He's not going anywhere. And he fouled out our whole team this year, Peyton Sparks. So we're going to have to put some stuff to be ready for that situation. And then, we lost to the number 1 team in the state 2 years in a row. Yeah. And both of them, in the regional final in the last 10 seconds, and this year in the fourth quarter, it's almost kind of like the last dance, with the Bulls trying to get by the Pistons. We've got to get by Shenandoah.
Yeah.
Last year we put together a great schedule every year. Last year we played 3 number 1 teams in the state, 4 times. Shenandoah, we played them twice. We played Greenwood Christian, who was number 1 in the state. 9 seniors, they don't get to finish out their run to see if they can win the state. And then Delta, at one time was number 1 as well, and in the top 10 all year. So, this year we're trying to pick up, we've put some feelers out there for several teams. We like to play teams that have really good players, good programs. We are trying to see if we can do something with Richmond, Fort Wayne Blackhawk with, the kid that's going to Purdue, and then maybe even Blackford with Luke Brown. Andrew Croft at Richmond, would love to see him live and have to do some, scouting for him just because, I've admired watching him on Radio Troy play, great athlete, and hope he heals. And so, I don't know, we're still looking to pick up 1 or 2 more, and make it harder because, last year only having 1 senior, this year having 2,000-point scores back, and Carter Lumpkin and Colton Van Landingham. And then we started 3 sophomores in Raiden Faust, Peyton Lumpkin, and Ben Dyche. They're coming back. Our JV won 19 games with 9 freshmen out of 11 players. We're excited. I mean, there's no doubt about, we want to be able to play and want to be able to do the things that are normal, So, right now I think the big focus is just trying to get some normalcy, I know my son's in 5th grade and, there's not a lot of normalcy with him right now.